Second Life kind of game.
Second Life, alright. Sign up and receive 1,000 coins. I'm okay. They just want to get your money, guys. That's one of the big things about this. They get your credit card, and they can pretty much do anything they want.
Now it wants access to the camera.
That is a little weird,
Yeah,
is it?
might as well give you your files, too.
I know, right?
I think that's next.
My files?
Yeah, and the camera.
In order to start, we need to have access to the following: camera, push notifications. Okay.
Alright.
We're gonna do it. Tell us who you are. Let's go with male.
They know too much.
How do they know what I look like? Okay, so apparently if I take a photo,
Oh, this is cool. I have a
it
feeling.
should recognize what I look like. So it has like a face tracker almost.
That's not even close.
I got facial hair.
Hispanic.
Okay, so let's try that again.
That we couldn't quite squeeze into part 1. Before we begin, you know how it is. Hit that like button so you can make my day, and make sure to hit that subscribe bell so you can stay up to date with our latest and most terrifying uploads. Now, if you've ever heard of the New England Society for Psychic Research, then you're definitely on the right track, because perhaps the most prolific paranormal investigators of all time, Ed and Lorraine Warren, used this institution to spearhead their reportedly 10,000 paranormal cases throughout their demon hunting career. And while 10,000 might sound like an absolutely colossal number that we could break down and dive into for years to come, unfortunately there's only a handful of substantially evident cases left for us to discuss. So without further delay, jumping in at number 5, the trial of Arne Cheyenne Johnson. Also known as the Devil Made Me Do It case, this is the first recorded court case in United States history that used demonic possession as basis for a defendant's claim that had ultimately resulted in the first-degree manslaughter of Connecticut man Alan Bono. It began with the Glatzel family after their 11-year-old son David had allegedly been possessed by a demonic beast who assaulted him in an attic. This manifested itself as David began to experience night terrors, exhibit strange behavior, and fall victim to unexplained wounds, scratches, and bruises. Of course, after calling upon the services of a Catholic priest and finding no resolution, the family contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren. Soon after, Lorraine witnessed a black mist around David, an apparent indication of demonic involvement, as well as red hand marks around his neck.
When he wound up in a ditch on a gravel road at night, he called his parents on his cell phone to get help. When they began looking for him, they couldn't find his car and spent 45 minutes searching for Brandon, who was on the phone with them the whole while. He said he could see the lights in the distance. He thought it was a town nearby, so he was walking toward it when, suddenly, he shouted 2 words. That would be the last anyone heard of Brandon Swanson. Brandon's car was found, not in the area he said it was, but volunteers and dogs never did find Brandon. Even after searching for 120 days, the phone records showed that he was never near any town. So what lights had he seen? Could they have been extraterrestrial? Only Brandon knows. Number 14. Static calls. Have you ever had a phone call that haunted you for life? Redditor Mistrias's brother did. He wrote, "A few years ago, my brother would get a call on his cell phone around 2 to 3 a.m. Every night, he would answer, and it was this hellish-sounding noise, like static mixed with screams. What would you do if you got a phone call from hell? You'd probably change your number." And that's exactly what his brother did after a month of these calls. When he did, it stopped, but not for long. After a week or so, it began again. Mistrias writes, the exact same noise, exact same time. Finally, one day, he decided to backdial the call. It was an old man that had no clue what he was talking about. Still, the calls persisted. If he didn't answer, it would call a few more times. No messages were left. Now what? What would you do if changing your number didn't prevent Satan from calling? Probably switch your phone company, right? That's also exactly what his brother did. He ended his contract, changed phone companies, and even got a newer number. When he did, it stopped again, but not for long. You guessed it. The screaming static calls continued after a short delay. Mistrias writes, by this time, he was terrified every night, unsure why this was happening. He backdialed the number again and got a different person. Who was making these phone calls? When he backdialed, the person on the other end of the line again seemed to have no clue what he was talking about. His brother then lost his job and no longer had a phone contract. Thus, no more calls, right? Not quite. His mother received